Hi, I'd like to give you a quick overview of InfoSight before we dive into the demo. InfoSight is a cloud-based predictive analytics platform where every second it's collecting and analyzing millions of sensors from the arrays and across the infrastructure stack and across our global install base. It applies data science and machine learning to quickly resolve and even prevent complex infrastructure issues as well as help plan for the future. It's because of InfoSight that we're able to deliver 6 nines of measured availability, proactively open and resolve 86% of issues, and even resolve problems outside of storage. In the demo, we'll highlight a few distinguishing features that are visible in the customer portal and show an example of how InfoSight helps quickly solve a complex performance issue. Note that we are not using simulated data, but that these are real environments and sensitive customer information is blurred out. Upon login, you will see the operational dashboard. Here, the admin gets a quick overview of their environment. Typically, the first screen you will see is a latency chart. Instead, however, our first graph is a correlation of IOPS with a prediction of the latency impact as shown in red. Our machine learning algorithm analyzes I/O signatures and filters out operations that are naturally latent, like a backup job or a large file transfer, that don't impact the end user. So the color coding simply shows which periods of latency the admin should pay attention to. On the right here is another unique feature. InfoSight provides customized update paths for every customer. While there may be several updates available, we prevent updates to specific Nimble OS versions associated with a problem that has been identified in other environments with similar configurations. For instance, if there's a known problem with a version of VMware, InfoSight will ensure that any update that triggers the problem is blacklisted, so customers won't see the update or the problem. In this example, current version of this customer is 3.4, and this customer cannot upgrade to 3.7. Let's now look into the capacity trending and predictions. Clicking on Reports, Capacity Report, you will see a graph showing both the historical trend as well as a prediction for where capacity is headed. InfoSight provides a confidence interval for when storage will likely or highly likely exceed capacity. In this case, we see that capacity is highly likely to exceed the threshold on April 22nd. Our forecasting models are statistically highly confident using autoregressive and Monte Carlo simulations, taking into account irregular patterns that would be considered by an untrained eye as unpredictable. Now let's take a look at the Wellness tab. InfoSight is constantly learning from the install base, and we apply these learnings to predict and prevent issues up and down the stack. We have over 800 predictive signatures that can automatically detect leading indication of issues from interoperability issues with hypervisor or host and even more obscure problems across the infrastructure stack. If InfoSight detects any signatures, it automatically opens cases, as we see here, and resolves the issues even before customers realize they had one. In this case, what we see here is that replication has failed to a downstream partner for this particular array. The description details how to check the network configuration and routing between these two arrays, as well as basically how to test the communication path between these two arrays. Now, I would like to show you a replication planning app within Nimble Labs. Labs is a vehicle for Nimble to deploy and test advanced analytics. They're available to all customers, and based on feedback, these analytics get incorporated into the portal. So for replication, before InfoSight, customers found it difficult to understand the bandwidth requirements for replication, which often resulted in guessing. As you can see, this app very quickly determines bandwidth needs to replicate based on the application's performance policies or volumes, as well as the minimum replication interval and the recovery point objective. Let's now take you quickly through a performance diagnostics use case. Imagine that I'm the infrastructure admin and receive a call from an app owner that one of our mission-critical apps has been experiencing an intermittent performance hit over the past week. Before InfoSight, it would be extraordinarily difficult to find the root cause. The admin would have to collect and stitch multiple disparate monitoring tools together and try to interpret them to see if it's even attributed to infrastructure. However, InfoSight collects, analyzes, and correlates across the hypervisor and array, and it's made available on demand. So I click on the VM Vision tab. What we see here is for every VM is a correlated analysis that shows latency against time and a color coding that indicates if the contribution of latency is attributed to the host, network, or storage. As you can see here, this latency spike is attributed to the host, not network or storage. Scrolling down, I see that the memory usage of the ESX host is very high, indicating that this is the root cause. It's close to around 75%. So the admin would have to increase memory to the host or move the VM to another host with sufficient memory. Now, if we look at this other VM, IN, the correlated analysis for Monday, March 13th shows storage being the primary contributor to the latency. The admin could see if there are other VMs accessing the same data store that IN is accessing with high IOPS activity, which would indicate that there is a noisy neighbor, meaning the data store is being used by 10 other VMs which are driving significant IOPS. So in this example, the recommendation would be to move the noisy neighbor VMs to another data store. To wrap things up, just want to show you another feature that customers love and is unexpected from a storage vendor. When I click on data store heat map, InfoSight provides a visualization that shows all the customers' data stores relative to one another across the dimensions of total IO count and VM latency. The bigger the box, the larger the IO activity, and darker the red, the higher the latency. Quick but insightful summary that helps customers better understand their complex environment. Thanks for watching. What you saw represents just a fraction of the functionality of InfoSight. There are many other parts of InfoSight that provide the customer with information that they can use to optimize their environment. We'd be happy to take you through this in more detail in person.